Company dinner. I initially planned to confess my feelings to the boss assistant. Well, I got overly drunk and ended up grabbing the boss' hand, shouting about going public with it. On Monday, I dragged my exhausted body into the office. Last night, as the best mood creator, I easily warmed up the atmosphere, enjoyed myself too much, and drank quite a bit, successfully blacking out. If it weren't for the splitting headache this morning, I might have forgotten all about the dinner. Good morning, boss. Morning, I greeted my colleagues drowsily. Wait, what did I just hear? What did you just call me? I grabbed a colleague who had a teasing grin on his face. Such jokes can't be made. I'm aiming for promotion and salary increases based on my real abilities, not clinging to someone else's coattails. My colleague smirked, deliberately raising his voice. What else would we call you? You went public with President yesterday in a sweet, lovey-dovey manner. Going public? President? Lovey-dovey? I was confused. A group of gossiping colleagues turned their attention to me, all wearing that sinister, amused smile that made my scalp tingle. Boss lady, you've been hiding it quite well. Time to treat us. Afternoon tea must be on the boss lady. Me. As I sat at my desk, looking at the eager and nosy gazes of my colleagues, I quietly lowered my head. The memories that should have been forgotten began to piece together in fragments in my mind. Last night, at the company dinner, I wanted to take advantage of the lively atmosphere to confess my long-hidden feelings for the president's assistant. Unexpectedly, after a few drinks, my courage surged, but my judgment and intelligence were seriously impaired. Go for it. Everyone started to hype up the atmosphere. Whoa, I had to get into it even more. Steadying myself, disregarding the double vision, I called out the words from my heart loudly and firmly. I like you. At that critical moment, everyone held their breath. Under the influence of alcohol, I could barely maintain my head up. The next second, yes. A deep, magnetic voice responded slowly. The man of my dreams said yes. Oh my, Mom, I've made it. I went public with the man of my dreams. And then, I blacked out. In the lively atmosphere, no one noticed my trembling hands hidden under the table. Oh no, did I offend the boss? Am I going to get in trouble now? But then a terrifying thought struck me. If the boss finds out I confessed to someone else, I gasped. Even more frightened, I started to feel guilty. My colleagues were still incessantly calling me, boss lady. Who even cares? I might lose my job here. Who would have thought that at such an important company dinner, while the president was present, the president's assistant was absent? Oh no, that's Jonas Pater, the object of my dreams that I wouldn't dare to even daydream about. After weighing the pros and cons, I decided I should apologize to the boss. But in my panic, I embarrassingly forgot to knock and just barged into Jonas Pater's office. Jonas Pater was focused on his work, and when he saw me, his brows slightly furrowed, before his lips curved into a pleasant smile. Oh no, just at that critical moment, I actually stuttered, and couldn't argue for myself. Jonas Pater put down his pen, leaned back slightly, and lazily looked at me, his slightly curved lips exuding a dangerously charming curve. Something up. Right, I froze. In the end, I didn't say a word and slipped out of the office. I just confessed, and now I'm considering breaking up. And the person getting rejected turned out to be my boss. Just the thought of Jonas Pater's cold, aloof face makes it feel like I wouldn't have the courage to say something so outrageous even if I ate 3 plates of brave courage. Stuck in a tough situation, I brought this on myself. Even top-tier hearthrobes wouldn't be able to deal with my current predicament. Not to mention, I'm just a timid and inexperienced newbie in the workplace. I hit my head hard, regret surging through me. Lunch hour soon rolled around. I thought about sneaking out to avoid the crowd, but my colleagues, still retaining their gossip spirit, gathered around me. Where is the boss lady going for lunch? Boss lady, do share some secrets with us? Let's get some perks. Just look at Nora Caroline, so precise. She wouldn't want to save money for her husband. Let's not dream. Everyone chimed in, making it quite lively. No way. If this continues, my romance will become a solid fact. When you can't cut off, you'll only bring more chaos. I found an excuse to sneak away, and slip back to the office through the emergency exit. I wasn't sure if it was because it was lunch hour, but Jonas Peter's office was empty. The assistant's seat was vacant, so I found a spot to sit. Through the glass window, I could only see Jonas Peter from the back while he was on the phone. Since he was busy, I'd wait a bit. Half an hour later, Nora Caroline. Jonas Peter. Jonas Peter finally finished, and I had sat there waiting for 40 minutes. Next time, just come in. Don't wait foolishly. Let's go eat. By the time I caught up, I was already sitting in a nearby upscale restaurant. In the exquisite Japanese restaurant, the air was filled with a faint aroma of Wagyu beef. Jonas Peter thoughtfully placed the order and even helped organize the utensils. Is there something you want to tell me? His tone was not cold at all. It even had a familiar, natural intimacy to it. Calm down. It hasn't been 24 hours yet. There's still time. As long as I explain it clearly now, everything can go back to normal. Seeing me take a deep breath, Jonas Peter chuckled. Take your time, I'm listening. This guy's so easygoing. It makes me more nervous. How do I even start? Should I say that I confessed to the wrong person, and that he should kindly forget what I said yesterday? While the core idea is just this, I certainly can't put it so bluntly. Weighing my words, I even forgot to cut the Wagyu right in front of me. Jonas Peter truly had the disposition of a boyfriend, as he expertly cut it for me and swapped plates. The A5 grade marbled beef looked inviting, oozing with flavor. Beef is innocent, whether it lives or dies. I must have a taste before moving on. Not rejecting Jonas Peter's kindness, I began to enjoy my meal. After all, there's plenty of time for a meal. It's okay to eat first. Nora Caroline. Not even my mom has called me so gently. Jonas Peter lifted his phone screen in front of me, clarifying my confusion with actions. On Weshit, my profile picture was pinned at the top, and not only that, the note had been changed to "Darling." Whoa. Jonas Peter has skillfully diverted my attention, completely baffling me. Seeing my reaction, Jonas Peter frowned slightly, taking advantage of my surprise. He grabbed my phone. So, am I just Jonas Peter? Clearly, he didn't like my formal title. It's just what was saved before. What should I call you? The stoic great demon. Change it, to what? Having a boss change to a boyfriend is even more difficult than managing him as a boss. Do as you like. Just as I thought to change it casually, I heard Jonas Peter's devoid of warmth warning. Don't be perfunctory. What a sundeer. Wait, wasn't I here to clear misunderstandings? How had I almost gotten lost in our conversation? Jonas Peter, Nora Caroline. What is the first rule of the employee handbook? Whoa, testing me. I blurted out immediately, one word spoken, and the speaker is invincible. Good. Looking at the smile in Jonas Peter's eyes, I finally realized I had trapped myself. How superficial I was. It turns out the employee handbook can be used this way. I panicked. This can't go on. This meal will end up wasted. Jonas Peter, can I ask you if there's something you can't accept? I casually threw out my pit. Come on. As long as you state one point, I'll immediately work to embody it. Playing with people's feelings. Oh no, that point, I can't embody. Jonas Peter's smile revealed a set of gleaming white teeth, reminiscent of a dental clinic's advertising. Even though he was smiling while speaking, it sent chills down my spine, leaving me with no courage to clarify the misunderstanding. After lunch, I followed Jonas Peter back into the office. Jung Jia, the departmental director, is an old staff member respected by everyone for her character and capabilities. She is a bit nosy but quite bold. She's probably the only middle manager in the company who dares to joke with Jonas Peter. Jonas Peter, you're all joyful now, but it's tough for us who eat dog food every day. An afternoon treat for everyone. Cheers erupted in the office, with some eager folks even asking when we'd throw a party. What a huge misunderstanding. But despite my silly smile, I couldn't articulate a single explanatory word. Ultimately, it's all the fault of my idol, Reginald Hosea. Why did he have to wear the same outfit as the boss? If I hadn't just recognized clothes instead of people, I wouldn't be stuck in this mess right now. They say beware of what you fear. In the afternoon, everyone happily shared presidents, dog food, and Reginald Hosea finally showed up. He sat down, munching on his meal and listening to colleagues recount the bizarre night he missed. Congratulations. You better look out for me in the future. Damn it, I don't want to look after you. I just want to date you. When I saw my ideal type brush against the egg tart in my hand, I had no desire to eat it at all. Oh no, it's all my fault for being blind. Jonas Peter's warning was still fresh in my mind, and I didn't dare to act rashly. Since it's clearly stated that openly pursuing him won't work, I guess I'll have to be more subtle. As a wealthy and powerful CEO, he wouldn't be as blind as I am. Once he discovers my flaws during our interactions, he will definitely draw a line with me and return to the right path. At that point, if he breaks it off, I'm sure he wouldn't make it difficult for me. I must be quite clever. Putting down the egg tart, I decided to take action. I quickly took out my phone and searched on Baidu. As I read through various summaries and experiences shared by netizens, I felt a surge of confidence. Next up was the unabashed implementation of my girlfriend plan. First step, make demands regardless of the occasion. Thinking about the meal allowances mentioned by my colleagues, I couldn't help but smile. Such a clueless demand. He would surely detest me. Gathering my courage to get dumped, I pressed the intercom to his office. Nora Caroline, what's up? My colleagues asked me to bring up a suggestion. Our meal allowance is too low. Can it be increased? Listen up, Jonas Peter. Your girlfriend is this soft-hearted and unable to separate work from personal matters. Wake up and break up with me already. I nervously awaited Jonas Peter's answer. A moment later, his low and magnetic voice slowly came through. That's such a great suggestion, Nora Caroline. Please feel free to bring up more. I'm really worried about how to improve my employees' happiness. After hanging up, it wasn't long before the office erupted in cheers, and my colleagues looked at me with excitement. Thanks to the boss wife for the inside scoop. Thanks to the boss wife for understanding the grassroots level. Immediately, I opened my email, and wow, Jonas Peter was quick in his actions. The meal allowance was increased. Oh no, those strangers online weren't lying. They said this kind of behavior would lead to disdain. All afternoon, I couldn't sit still. As quitting time approached, Jonas Peter called me, asking me to wait for him to leave work together. Second step, by recklessly. Having just become Jonas Peter's girlfriend, I started spending his money. He would surely link me to being materialistic and vain. Nora Caroline, let's go. I'm done here. After finishing his last video meeting, Jonas Peter took my hand and led me to the garage. The warmth in my palm was almost scorching. Holding hands, kissing, and then, images began to fill my mind. No, I couldn't. Jonas Peter, I want to go shopping. Jonas Peter looked surprised. I felt delighted. It seemed I was on the right track with my antics. Sure, where do you want to go? I immediately mentioned a shopping center that only sells luxury goods. Places like that are so expensive that ordinary people wouldn't even dare to step inside. And I am that ordinary person. I only knew about this place because I had seen a blogger go there on some platform. Jonas Peter didn't say anything. He simply glanced at me and took me directly to the shopping center. I could hardly imagine that one day I'd end up buying luxury goods until I was exhausted. Nora Caroline, I was worried you wouldn't want to use my card, but now I'm relieved. With that, Jonas Peter placed a black card in my palm. From now on, buy whatever you want. Oh no, what is up with this batch of internet users? Weren't we supposed to say that Chinese people don't deceive each other? I could only cry. I was exhausted. 3 hours later, watching Jonas Peter squat down by my feet, massaging my calves, I was completely stunned. After a few moments of his rubbing, the soreness in my legs did indeed vanish. Want to keep shopping? There's a jewelry studio ahead with some really nice items. I vigorously shook my head. Jonas Peter laughed, thoughtfully tucking a stray hair behind my ear. His handsome features exuded endless affection. Are you hungry? I instinctively nodded. Let's go. I'll take you to eat something delicious. There's a nice French restaurant nearby. A French restaurant. Suddenly, my mind was blown. I don't like that, I replied, snorting insistently. Then what do you want to eat? I was waiting for Jonas Peter to say that. Half an hour later, at a street barbecue stall, Jonas Pater was sitting on a plastic chair that had cracked. His brows furrowed as he glanced around. It seemed that the people at the adjacent table were quite intoxicated, their loud voices almost deafening me. When I turned to look, I saw a flicker of displeasure in Jonas Pater's eyes. I thought I was getting close to the end of my foolishness. Do you like this? Just as Jonas Pater finished speaking, the loud guy at the next table got overly excited and took off his shirt, the pungent smell of smoke wafting our way. I felt a bit guilty but still nodded vigorously. After a moment, Jonas Pater said, "Order something." Me. That wasn't quite enough direction. "Jonas Pater, I want to eat the skewers you grill yourself." The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. I was already prepared to be dumped. Whoa. Jonas Pater stood up. He took off his coat. He rolled up his sleeves. Could it be that Jonas Pater was going to hit me? Jonas Pater walked away. I was happy for a few seconds, then saw him walk over to a smoky grill where he spoke to the owner. To my surprise, the owner cleared a space for him to get to work. I was completely dumbfounded. Minutes later, watching Jonas Pater grilling skewers himself in front of me, I could no longer keep up the act. Jonas Pater was the first man to grill skewers just for me. On the way home, I remained silent, standing by the grill for too long. He smelled like smoke, filling the car with the scent. Jonas Pater, today, Nora Caroline, I'm really happy. Gazing into Jonas Pater's deep eyes, I couldn't say a single word. That night, my dreams were filled with images of Jonas Pater. The next day at the office, news spread that Jonas Pater himself grilled at the barbecue for the sake of making his girlfriend smile. I heard someone saw it with their own eyes and took photos. I was stunned. When I checked, it was indeed true. The dashing Jonas Pater stood at the grill, surrounded by smoke like a descending deity. A feeling of guilt began to grow in my heart. Finally making it to lunch, I didn't even bother to eat and rushed to find Jonas Pater. The office was still empty. Just as I reached the door, I suddenly heard voices inside. "Jonas Pater, you can't indulge Nora Caroline like this. With your status, how can you go to that kind of place? Several people have asked about it today. Nora Caroline is being a bit too much." It was Reginald Hosea. My heart sank. My crush turned out to be one of them. I couldn't bear to listen anymore and was about to rush in, when Jonas Pater spoke. "As for my girlfriend, of course, I have to spoil her. As long as she's happy, that's what matters." I lost my enthusiasm to hear the rest. Oh no, in comparison, Jonas Pater was just too good. At that moment, my phone vibrated in my pocket. What? My best friend. I quietly stepped away and answered the call. My best friend was crying heartbreakingly on the line, and my heart raced. I asked for half a day off, and rushed to the bar she had managed. The last experience had taught me that alcohol was a loss of control. I wasn't worthy of drinking for a lifetime, but my best friend kept raising her glass, desperately wanting to get me to drink with her until we both passed out. Nora Caroline, all men are bastards. Woo woo woo. Why can't he see how good I am? My best friend cried messily, ranting about her out-of-place boyfriend. If it were any other time, I would totally curse out her boyfriend to vent her frustration. I knew that as long as she still cared, it wouldn't be easy to break up. My best friend was just throwing a little tantrum. Once her boyfriend came to apologize, she would cool off. But now, I had gotten myself into a mess, and my brain was in no shape to be logical. At that moment, my phone rang. Oh no, the CEO's fake boyfriend is checking in. Since we started dating, Jonas Pater fully embraced the role. Although I had declined his offer to pick me up, he still cared in other ways. "Hello, what are you doing?" The voice on the other end sounded incredibly sexy. It must be the charm of a top-tier guy. Just like facing a handsome actor, you might not like him, but you can't deny he's attractive. "I'm out, having a meal with friends. Drinking also counts as food, so it's close enough. Give me the address." No way would I provide Jonas Pater a chance to come pick me up. No need, no need. My friend is calling me, so I'll hang up for now. Hastily ending the call, I stared at myself in the mirror in a daze. Nora Caroline, who do you think you are to have the boss lose sleep over you, and gossip about who you're with? When I stepped out of the bathroom, my best friend was nowhere to be found. I frantically called, worried something happened to her. The call wouldn't connect, but strangely, the ringtone seemed to be coming from nearby. Soon, someone emerged, a beefy guy, on the phone, marched up to me, holding my drunken best friend, his face twisted in anger, despite having a swollen cheek. What's your relationship with her? What? She just hit me. I don't hit women, but I'm telling you, I want 50,000 to settle this. Whoa, seriously, my best friend was waving her hands around in a drunken frenzy, already deep into her drunkenness, caught up in the fake dating thing. I even forgot my best friend's behavior after drinking. I quickly whispered apologies, but the guy seemed deeply aggrieved, unwilling to budge on the 50,000 compensation. My phone rang again. It was Jonas Pater calling. Answer. Not answering. It seemed that my brother had caught sight of the dawn of victory, inquiring about who was on the other end of the call. While dodging pursuit, I accidentally pressed the answer button. Soon, our clumsy and unclear scene, clearly indicating that we weren't having dinner, was transmitted to the other end of the line. Nora Caroline, your address. Jonas Pater's voice carried a hint of anger. The man on the other end looked imposing, the kind that could easily break my little arm in an instant. In comparison, I unhesitatingly disclosed the location of the bar. Before long, Jonas Pater arrived. He was clearly in it for the money. Everything fell into place as soon as he used his financial leverage to deal with the brother. What's going on? Here to drown your sorrows. Jonas Pater picked up a bottle of alcohol, peering into the scant remnants at the bottom as if weighing his options. Not me. My best friend just broke up and asked me to come keep her company. Oh, really? In a moment of distraction, I realized my best friend had already vanished with my bag. My words suddenly echoed with the flavor of, "There's no silver here." I answered the call from the restroom. Jonas Pater crossed his arms, seriousness radiating from him as he began to assess the situation. With things having come this far, I dared not lie. I nodded vigorously. Must be tough for you." Jonas Pater smiled, revealing a set of bright white teeth under the dim lights, which was somewhat intimidating. Just one glance, and I quickly lowered my head, like a child caught in a mistake, my hands nervously fidgeting with my clothes. After a brief silence, Jonas Pater's voice broke through again, this time without an edge of anger. "Why didn't you call me right away when something went wrong? You're girls. It's dangerous to be out this late, and you now have a boyfriend, so it's inflicting secondary damage on him." His words were clear and logical, culminating in a humble note. Cool. This was indeed the demeanor of a CEO. He held my hand and led me out of the bar. The doorman respectfully had our car ready, and Jonas Pater gestured for me to get in. The entire time, I didn't dare to breathe too loudly. "Nora Caroline, do you know who I am?" It sounded like a question, but it was a trap. I felt like no matter how I answered, it would be wrong. The reason for my unease was known only to me. Perhaps I was no longer infatuated with Reginald Hosea, but dating a CEO still left me feeling unbalanced. "Nora Caroline, it's my fault for not giving you enough reason to trust me completely." I couldn't provide an answer, but his next words easily grasped me. "I admit I'm anxious, but I'm also serious." At the foot of my building, Jonas Pater's earnest eyes held me captive. "But I will try hard. Believe me." "Oh no, beauty leads to confusion." I nodded. Later that night, as I lay in bed, I was scrolling through short videos as usual to kill time. However, even my favorite couple moments today failed to trigger any dopamine release. I closed the app, and Jonas Pater's handsome face flashed vividly in my mind. Looks like I've really lost my mind. What does it mean to feel a bit fluttery? A week later, I accompanied Jonas Pater on a business trip. It wasn't just me, it was the whole team, so I had no objections. The signing during the day went smoothly, and the partners hosted a gala in the evening. Wearing an outfit sent over by Jonas Pater, I nervously attended the event. "Don't be scared." Jonas Pater wore a similar suit as he gently took my arm. People were whispering, eyes darting between gossip and envy. From what I remembered, Jonas Pater never brought women to these business events. Such a distinguished person. And this time it was me he was unafraid to showcase to others. Our presence together was perhaps the best proof of the security others often spoke about. The partner in charge came over to greet us. He smiled and nodded at me, then innocently probed Jonas Pater. This young lady seems unfamiliar. What is she to you? Jonas Pater. My girlfriend. Whoa. So direct. So calm. Congratulations, Nora Caroline. You're truly impressive. Jonas Pater is no ordinary man. The two of you are a match made in heaven. I propose a toast to Jonas Pater and his girlfriend for their sweet romance, wishing you both a swift marriage. The atmosphere in the room warmed delightfully. After drinking the sparkling wine, Jonas Pater turned to me with a teasing glint in his eyes. When are you going to marry me? His smile was enchanting, the kind that could kill with sweetness. Feeling heat rise to my cheeks, I blushed. Oh no, I couldn't marry Jonas Pater. At the same time, there were blessings, as well as provocations from the audience. In the latter half of the gala, a couple appeared on the scene. Reginald Hosea was accompanied by a lavishly dressed socialite, engaging enthusiastically with others. At that moment, I was chatting with Jonas Pater and his friends, one of whom seemed to recognize the socialite and promptly chimed in. I heard Candace Defoe has landed herself a rich boy. Who is this guy? They were calling Reginald Hosea a gigolo. When I heard him speak ill of me behind my back last time, my perception of him shattered. Now, to suddenly learn he was being called a gigolo made me want to pry my own eyes out and wash them. I had previously heard whispers from colleagues about him frequently borrowing money to buy luxury goods to maintain an upscale image, mingling in high-class venues, and associating with wealthy women. I thought it was just jealousy over his young assistant position, but I had no idea. Thinking back to my previously naive thoughts and blind admiration for him, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. Now, I had calmed down completely, and my mind was clear. I just needed to wait for the right moment to clarify things with the CEO. Just then, the socialite, holding on to Reginald Hosea, approached us. Compared to Reginald's ingrained class hierarchy, the socialite appeared somewhat challenging. Jonas Pater, who are you bringing? A secretary, or just a companion? Oh, so she was coming at me. In a setting like this, I obviously brought my girlfriend. What? Should I bring a gigolo instead? Jonas Pater was amazing. A rush of vanity mixed with a sense of security surged through me. This was the undeniable charm of a domineering CEO. The socialite was left with nothing and quickly retreated in defeat. The gala continued until the early hours before finally wrapping up. Although everyone knew about our couple status, the hotel still booked me a separate room. Jonas Pater walked me to the door, lingering without saying goodbye, just staring at me. His gaze was innocent and naive. It's late. Good night. I awkwardly bid farewell, ignoring the objection in Jonas Pater's eyes. Just as I was about to close the door, an arm stretched out to stop me. Remember to lock the door. His voice was a low warning before he disappeared down the hallway. In the mirror, I blinked wide-eyed and astonished. What use was beauty if I couldn't see clearly? A relationship sparked by a single outfit, when would it finally find its way back to proper footing? Oh heavens, guide this child. When my best friend video called, I was rolling around on the big hotel bed, attempting to think of a good idea. I still hadn't settled the score from the bar incident with her. As the video connected, I wore a stern expression. My best friend instantly shrank back. Darling, don't be mad. Let me treat you to a feast tonight. Seeing her smirk, I could tell she had reconciled with her boyfriend. Noticing my silence, she then pouted and played cute. Eventually, I couldn't hold back any longer. It was exhausting to keep my face cold. All right, I forgive you, but I won't be able to join you for dinner tonight. I'm accompanying my boss on a business trip. Accompanying your boss? She suddenly seemed to remember something, her hand hitting her head. I almost forgot. Darling, do you remember our class flower? Sophia. Of course, I remembered the class flower. I nodded, watching her with a curious look. I heard Sophia is seeing a rich second-generation guy, but his parents disapprove. Not only do they look down on Sophia, but they even hired someone to check out her family. Matchmaking really needs to be on par. Sophia might be pretty, but she isn't very smart. Doesn't she realize how few wealthy families would welcome a Cinderella as a daughter-in-law? I felt a surge of inspiration and jumped out of bed, blowing kisses at the screen. Darling, when I get back, you can pick whatever you want to eat. With my friend staring blankly, I disconnected the video call. Standing on the bed, I silently screamed. If I couldn't make things clear with Jonas Pater, I could go talk to his father. I believe that the wise and exceptional chairman would never allow his son to date someone from the wrong background. I'm quite clever, aren't I? After returning from the business trip, I found myself in the chairman's office, ready to confess. About a minute earlier, I had finished explaining my relationship with Jonas Pater, presenting photos from the last banquet and screenshots of our chats. As Jonas Pater's boss and also his father, the chairman examined the relevant evidence I provided with a serious expression. Finally, he gave me a conclusion. The elder man frowned, resolutely stating, "Unbelievable." With his words, my anxious heart finally settled. All right, the farce was about to come to an end today. It's ridiculous for a girl to voice her feelings about dating. Jonas Pater has no sense of responsibility whatsoever. Wow, this wealthy family is certainly different. Sobbing, I was getting anxious. No, chairman, what I mean is, you really want me to break up, threatening me with my job. If it comes to that, just pay me off and go away. Anyway, why aren't you following the usual script, old man? Nora Caroline, don't worry, the Pater family is quite traditional and will consider a girl's reputation. I'm not sure what your parents do or if they are busy, but I think it's necessary for our families to get together for a meal. One failed move. I had no choice but to go all in. Chairman, my family runs a small restaurant, and the house we just bought is on a loan that I'm still paying off for another 18 years. The only car we have is just a pickup truck for hauling stuff. And I blurted out everything, even mentioning how my aunt borrowed over 100,000 for her cancer treatment. This is a mismatch. Seeing the chairman's face darken gradually, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. These issues do need to be resolved. The next moment, the chairman called Jonas Pater right in front of me, criticizing him for being unable to handle even a small matter, saying how could he even be a boyfriend. For the next 10 minutes, I received a series of messages. The bank loan has been cleared. My aunt's fundraising effort was successful. My dad's restaurant was featured by major influencers, promising to promote it at the top for at least a month. Kid, let's add each other on Weshit. If Jonas Pater ever messes up, you come directly to dad. Oh wait, I mean uncle. The old man smiled shrewdly, looking more competent than Jonas Pater. Young people shouldn't be tied down by money. When you're in a good mood, that's when you can truly enjoy love. And so, with a mindset of, I need to break up these lovebirds, I went upstairs. In the end, it was like meeting Santa Claus, receiving a pile of huge gifts. The chairman's generosity was overwhelming. This happiness felt too heavy. Just the money alone added up to at least several $100,000. After looking into the criminal law, I confirmed that the amount was enough for serious consequences. As I contemplated how to broach the subject, I found myself wandering back into the bar I had avoided before. I hadn't been here since that day. The music played, and it was even the same song as last time, and there was a familiar figure. Isn't this the CEO's wife? Reginald Hosea, his eyes bleary from drunkenness, moved closer to me. I couldn't understand his words, and I disliked the smell of alcohol on him even more. I just got dumped, and it hasn't even been a week. Damn it. I didn't know who he was cursing, but it made me feel particularly uncomfortable. To this day, Reginald Hosea had completely shattered the inexplicable filter I had liked him through. He was still quite handsome, but with an added layer of crudeness and calculating traits that made me detest him even more. By the way, I heard Candace Defoe is now with Jonas Pater. I saw them on a date yesterday. Nora Caroline, I advise you not to think too much about it. People like them will never be sincere towards us ordinary folks. But you're a woman. You're bound to gain some benefits. Unlike me, who has to butter people up. It's exhausting. As he spoke more crudely, the smell of alcohol grew stronger. Thinking about it, it's not a loss, right? Our intentions haven't been pure. It's fine to profit and pull back. Reginald Ho's self-righteous attitude of, we're both in the same boat, made me very uncomfortable. Having calculated everything in romance, I was completely done with him. Walking onto the street, the cold air gradually washed away the stale atmosphere I had inhaled before. Reginald Ho's words echoed in my ears. along with the scene of the date he claimed to have witnessed. I knew the place, and I knew I could find it. Somehow compelled, I took a taxi and told the driver the name of that place. As the driver drove, my mood was inexplicably strange. I wanted to see it, yet regretted wishing to turn back. Upon arriving, I scanned the area but didn't spot any familiar figures. Just as I was breathing a sigh of relief, the VIP viewing area lit up in the distance. The familiar man stood with a woman I had only seen once. The woman smiled seductively, while the man's back was tall and upright. I smiled calmly, but I lost the courage to linger. On the way back, I felt not only relieved, but also an inexplicable wave of emotion washing over me. As tears rolled down, I realized that the small bitterness I felt was just hurt. Why am I crying? It wasn't even meant to be. You've gained something. Returning to square one was the right path. Why go through detours when the main road suffices? The feelings that only hint at possibility are the best outcome in a relationship. Goodbye, Jonas Pater. I had no hesitation in saying I wanted to break up. Of course, I also explained how it all started. Aside from mentioning Reginald Ho's name, I found it somewhat embarrassing. So, you mistook someone else and confessed to me. Looking into Jonas Pater's eyes, I didn't shy away. Sorry, Jonas Pater. When you've made a mistake, simply apologize. Feeling embarrassed is a form of self-punishment. Who's that man? His reaction was calm, not a shout, not a rage. It was already quite dignified. After a long thought, I engaged in a final internal struggle. Ultimately, I decided it would be better to clarify, if only to show sincerity. It's Reginald Hosea. I didn't break up with you to be with him. I don't like him anymore. Saying that, I felt relieved inside. There was no expected scoffing, only a small sense of triumph. Yeah, I know. Frowning, I couldn't quite grasp those simple words of Chinese he uttered. Silly girl. I bought the same brand as his at first. It was my first time wearing something so cheap, but the quality is somewhat acceptable. He rescued me, vindicated me, and even bought the same outfit as his. I was stunned. Nora Caroline, I've liked you for a long time. At this point, Jonas Pater no longer hid his feelings, openly admitting his affection. That's what it means to be dumbfounded, to remain speechless. And that's exactly how I felt. Deep inside, it felt like a little train was beeping, like a hidden jackpot. Jonas Pater stopped his confident bravado, his eyes nervously fixed on me. Just like that night at the ball, I wanted to agree, but my lingering doubts resurfaced. This time, I decided to muster my courage and ask clearly, what were you and Candice Defoe doing on a date at the VIP viewing area? I tried my best to adjust my tone, making it sound as natural as possible. I said I like you but don't know how to make you trust me completely. Candice Defoe mocked me, saying I wasn't even as brave as her. Don't worry, Candice Defoe isn't any potential rival. She's a relative of mine. I widened my eyes, unable to believe it. Some things are from the previous generation. You'll know once you marry into the family. Who's marrying you? There isn't even a preliminary arrangement. The day you walked out of my dad's office, the whole family already knew you were my wife. Wait, what is going on here? I haven't agreed yet. We're miles apart. What's missing? We can fix that right now. I don't know what kind of person you are, whether you'll treat me well. Why not try and see? Jonas Pater's confident tone perked up again as he paid and pulled me along without hesitation. My body was dragged along, and my emotions were caught in tow. What are you doing? Let you try it out. The man's mischievous wink was filled with hidden temptations. In a familiar scene, with a familiar person, we finally did what I had wanted to do since that night. Oh no, have I gotten onto the pirate ship? I really don't want to get off this ship. This story has come to an end. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, where you can always get the latest content, with plenty of novels updated every day.